Hello everyone, my name is Ripley and today we're building a magical fairytale cottage, I guess, on a Lilypad. I saw this drawing on Pinterest, I believe, and I was really inspired where they had this little house on a Lilypad and I was like, well, I could build that in The Sims maybe. So this house doesn't look exactly like that, but I took a lot of inspiration from that picture and I really like the end result of this house. I really think I got the kind of fairy tale magical vibe. So this house is surrounded by a pond, which we have this little bridge pond that leads to it, and this house actually is surprisingly big. It doesn't look super huge now, but when I went in to do the furnishing, actually it was a good size. It wasn't too big because this is only a 1 to 2 Sims home. But so it's not too big, but it isn't crammed either, which is really nice because I thought that, oh no, this is gonna be really small, how am I gonna do the layout? But in the end, it ended up being really nice. And with that said, the first floor is technically the second floor, and then the second floor is technically the third floor. Because the Lilypad actually had to be on its own, so I just ended up raising down the second floor to look like the first floor. In hindsight, I think that I could have put the Lilypad at the bottom of the pond and raised it up, and then had the first floor on the first floor. But at that point, I had come pretty far, so I thought, well, it doesn't really matter. It's not a big deal. It just, if you load into the slot, the house looks like it's gone, but it's not. You just have to go up a floor. And with that said, we're gonna have this bridge over that's gonna help. As fast as you Sims go up to the bridge, the house appears. That's fine. And we're doing a lot of this kind of cottagey vibes. So we have this hay roofing, which I think looks really nice. And then we're gonna have some simple wooden boards on the outside. But where I really think that this lot and this build comes together is the landscaping. When we get all the landscaping and we get some vines on the walls and everything, it actually comes together really nicely, and I really think it looks beautiful, which is something that I don't usually say about my builds. I guess it's the kind of thing that you're not supposed to like what you do. Well, you're supposed to like what you do, of course, but I think we have this kind of thing as humans that you're not supposed to brag about your stuff, I guess. And I usually say oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, but I actually really like how this entire lot turned out, especially the furnishing. I was really happy with. But now we're working on this little walkway up to the house, and I got this inspiration for the mushrooms from Sunny Creations. She recently did a build a magical cottage as well, where she had this book staircase that she lined with mushrooms and stuff. So this silly mushroom idea from her, I will link that video in the description because it's really good, and she's so talented. She's crazy good, so go and check that out. Because I really think that those mushrooms really gives this kind of fairy tale cottage vibe that I was going for. And then I just threw in a lot of landscaping, and all the landscaping is from the Cottage Living debug. It's so good, and I always think oh, why isn't this regular landscaping? Why isn't this in the normal landscaping category? It's kind of sad that it isn't part of the real landscaping, but with that said, it's also quite easy to get to it. All you gotta do is to put in 2 sheets. You have to put in baby.show hidden objects and baby.show live edit objects, and then you will be able to reach it. The easiest way is to just filter by Cottage Living, and then you got it. And we have a lot of beautiful stuff, and I think that these landscaping pieces really brought the build together. I don't think that I could have made it look as pretty with the landscaping we have in the regular landscaping category. So now I'm just going wild with the landscaping. I really like this overgrown look, because most of the lot is just a pond. So the areas that I got free are just filled with landscaping, which the main areas we have is on this left side, and then on the right side of the pond I just put in some trees, a few bushes, but not too much. It was not much to split, but I think that it really came together. And then we added some trees and stuff after that, and I think that it looks really, really cute. And I think it looks really fun that you can see the Lilypad and some like items that I put over there, and like the columns end up on that floor, like what? But I think that it is fine, and I think it's kind of fun that the house just disappears. But then I added this little like swirl thing on the fence as well, and I think it looks really, really cute. I mean, you could imagine it's a real squirrel and that it's just like, I think that's a squirrel, I'm calling it that, but I'm not quite sure, maybe it's not. But regardless, you could imagine that it's a real animal. And then I found this little like deck thing, what do you call them in English? They kind of like behind the boat, and I put it up by the fence as well. And I do also put in a boat there later on, so I think that well, you could take your boat out on the pond, I guess. Do some fishing maybe, I don't know. But now I'm just doing more of the landscaping. I really, really enjoyed doing the landscaping for this build. It didn't take me too long to do it either. I guess that before, like a few months ago, I would have told you that I absolutely hate landscaping and I don't want to do it at all. But now I think that landscaping is my favorite part of a build. Like a few months ago, I guess I wasn't as comfortable with landscaping because I haven't done it as much. But now, like, I think that the landscaping is the most like chill part. Like you can just sit and like listen to music or a podcast, and you just kind of throw out some plants a little bit here and there, kind of random, but still kind of like you have a structure in mind. And then you just kind of, it all kind of come together. You have different plants and different colors, and it's kind of, I guess it's the beauty with nature that nature don't really care about complementary colors, right? Like nature kind of works together with all the colors at once, and it looks nice. And a lot of the times, like if you do a drawing, you don't put all the colors at once because colors clash and colors don't work together, and some colors looks nice, some colors look awful next to each other. But with nature, like I said, it doesn't care about that stuff, and it always looks nice. So I guess that if you do struggle with landscaping, the best thing is just kind of to just go for it. Don't overthink like the plants, don't overthink the colors, just gonna throw it in. If it looks awful, then you can just redo it, but most of the time you just have to let it kind of grow. I think the landscaping sometimes is something that you need to work on, like the first few plants might not look good, but when you throw in all the rest of the stuff, it actually looks really, really nice. So I guess you're gonna need to have some patience with that kind of stuff. And I think that with building in general, that kind of applies that it can be hard to look at like an empty shell and not to know what you're gonna do, like just some empty dry walls. But slowly, like you add the roof and you add some like roof texture, you add some columns, some wallpaper, maybe some lines on the walls, and this kind of slowly comes together and start to look really, really beautiful. I guess the thing is you shouldn't give up. I guess you just need to trust the process. Trust the process because things will come together if you just give it the time to come together. And then I did some landscaping on this little Lilypad. I mean, I don't know how realistic that is, but with that said also, a house on a Lilypad is not that realistic anyway. And you can see that I have some like land underneath the Lilypad as well. And that's mainly just for me to make it easier to place stuff, but also to like do some landscaping and stuff up here. I didn't really know how much of the area around the house I wanted the Sims to access. I did end up cutting off like everything because I did that bridge, but originally I thought that well, maybe a few Sims can kind of walk around the house and sit up there. But like I said, I did the bridge instead. And I think that it looks beautiful regardless. Like I really like this landscaping that I did around the house. And I really like this kind of overgrown look around the house with the vines that climbs up the walls as well. But then also having the second floor being completely clean out of vines and stuff. It's just the second floor is quite clean on the outside, and I really like that. I tried a lot to put in like a lot of vines and stuff on the second floor as well, but I didn't like that. And I do think that I made the right decision by not including any like vines or overgrown stuff on the second floor. And then I'm just doing the last little details on this walkway, which I absolutely love how this turned out. Like I think it looks so pretty and so like medical, and like I love this kind of overgrown stuff here and there, and all the mushrooms and everything. This house is also completely play tested, everything works. and my sim had a little bit of problems with that walkway, but I just have to move some mushrooms around and it's fine, so it's like no difference at all. And now I'm just doing this little outside area before I'm moving into the interior of the home. In the house we have kitchen and living is the same room, and then we have a bedroom, and in the bedroom we also have an ensuite, which is the only bathroom in the house. It was the best way to do with the layout because I didn't want to have too many doors leading up to the kitchen and living area because I needed the wall space. And the bathroom is quite tight, and you will see that it is quite tight, but it does work. I have playtested it and it does work. And then on the upstairs we used to have this little tiny like office area, which was really hard to furnish. But we'll talk about that more when we get there, because now we're doing the kitchen, which I really love how this kitchen turned out. It's quite small, quite simple, but I don't think it needs to be bigger than this. And I really love this kind of cottage stuff that we got with Cottage Living, of course. I think that this stuff really fits in this build. And I thought also when I was building, like, if we didn't have Cottage Living, how would I have furnished this house? Because it would probably have looked very different if we didn't have Cottage Living, like with the style in general and stuff. So I thought that was very interesting, like, if I didn't have Cottage Living, how would I do this? Of course I will never know, but I guess it's something I thought about, because sometimes when I go through like the decoration stuff in the game, like going through like plants, or especially with picture frames, like I think like, oh god, I have almost all the packs. I have like 95% of the packs, but sometimes I feel like we're lacking in certain areas. Like I have almost every pack, but I have like, it feels like I have like 10 paintings to choose from. Of course I have more than that, but I guess it's also like I build so much, like all I do in Sims is build. So after a couple of builds, like I've used every single item so many times that I do get tired of them. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because I'm doing the same things all over again, I feel like. So I'm like, oh, I need a new pack, I need something new to build with. And so I get frustrated sometimes when it's been a bit between packs. With that said, we are getting the build kit soon. I don't know what the style is of that build kit. I hope it's something nice, because I really want something new to build with. But with that said, we do also have a lot of beautiful stuff in this game and in the packs that I do have. Moving on, I did just finish the kitchen there. I just had this like little table with 2 shelves, because you can only have 2 Sims in here, and I didn't want the kitchen to feel too crammed either. And I also did a little like corner area in the kitchen with the like jars and the little like coffee pot and other things that I think looks really cute. Moving on to the like living area, we had this little like coffee table, not a coffee table, what it's called, an end table with a TV and some books and a little urn and a flower vase. Just something simple, but I really think that like at this point I felt like, oh, I'm really happy with how this furnishing is turning out, because I really like those little small details. Lately I haven't always been super happy with the furnishing, but with this build I actually am really happy with it. I really like how the entire house turned out. Sometimes when I do builds I have certain like rooms or areas where I'm like, oh, this is not too great, but I'm just gonna leave it because I don't know what to do. But with this entire build I really like how this turned out. And then we just have these 2 little like armchairs. I did think about maybe having like a 2-seat, like a love seat, but I think that they would have taken up too much space. And with the armchairs you can kind of like turn them in so they take like less space. Something that I was concerned about is the accessibility to the ladder, but it actually works fine. I thought that there was for sure something I would have to change when I playtested this with my sim, but I didn't. It worked fine. We're moving on to the bedroom. In here I used a lot of cats and dog stuff. I did use a few cats and dog stuff in this build. I think the cats and dog kind of have this kind of country vibe as well, so it does fit really well with Cottage Living. I did do this bedroom very simple. It's quite small. We just have this little dresser and a mirror and a bed, and again 1 to 2 sims depending if your sims can scoot or not. If your sims can scoot, then you can have 2 sims on here. If they can't, then you only can have 1 sim. I know that they fixed it lately, so a lot of people's sims can scoot now, but for me, my sims still can't scoot, so maybe you're in the same boat as me, maybe not, but either way, 1 or 2 sims can live here. And now I'm just kind of doing some decorating for this bedroom. I'm just adding some pictures on the walls. I couldn't fit much in this bedroom, so I'm just going for the more like decorative stuff. That blind they just changed later. I changed it for the cottage living one because I think it's a lot prettier. And then we're just doing these little like cats and dogs paintings on the wall there. I always forget that we have these paintings, but they are so pretty, so I'm really happy that I found them and that I used them in this build. And then I used that little laundry day rug underneath the bed. And then we're moving on to the bathroom, which I cut out most of it. Just kinda cut out when I was trying to figure out how to lay out this room, because it is quite a small bathroom. But like I said, I did play test it and it's completely fine, it works. It's a little tight, but I guess you kinda have to count on that, especially with this house being quite small. But I think it's fine, I think that it works. Your sims have a bathroom, that's all that matters. And then we move on to the office area upstairs, which was really hard for me to furnish because I didn't really have a good angle to look at. So we just have this small little like computer area where this does work, but you do have to sit your sim down before using the computer because otherwise they won't do it for some reason. So you sit your sim down and then click on the computer and it will work just fine. We also have a full-size bookcase up here for sims to read. And then we just move on to do some last few decorations and stuff. But with that said, this is about the end of this video, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would love it if you could consider to like and subscribe. It will make me very happy. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you will enjoy the tour. Ripley out.
Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa.